Thank you for joining our webinar, the next in our series of monthly comparison between NetSuite and Business Central. My name is Adam. I'm the marketing manager at Nolan. Thank you for joining us this morning. In this webinar, we'll be exploring the two leading solutions in a little bit more detail. This time around, we're going to be looking at streamlining transaction processing. So what will the webinar look like? So we're aiming to end around past. So I'm going to start with a quick intro to Nolan Business Solutions. We'll do a quick overview of Business Central and NetSuite before we look at the main topic of streamlining transaction processing and wrapping up with how to get started with your migration. If you do have questions throughout, please don't hesitate to ask them in our chat box. We'll try to answer them as we go through, and if we don't manage to get around to that question, we will answer them directly by coming back to you on your email. So who's on the call from our side? We've got Mark Hennessy. Mark's our Managing Director and been at Nolan for around 13 years now. We've got Jason Zimmer. Jason's our GP Account Manager. We've got Gary Hawksford. Gary's our Cloud Migration Specialist. So Gary deals with new business as well as providing an added layer of account management, specifically around migrating from on-premise to the cloud. And myself, Adam Rubiniat-Warden, I'm the marketing manager. So who are we? So we're Nolan Business Solutions, and we're the UK's only NetSuite and Business Central partner in the UK. We were founded in 1988, so we are a trusted ERP advisor. For the last 17 years of which we've been migrating businesses from on-premise to cloud-based ERP. We're also an ISV, so that means we create our own solutions and modules for NetSuite, Business Central and Dynamics GP. We've around over 1,300 customers worldwide. We've got a lot of qualified technical resource at Nolan Business Solutions, and we offer support, development, consultancy, project management and training services. We're also a best workplace for development for women in tech 2024 to 2025, and recently earned our Great Place to Work certification for the year again. So that's us. We're going to do a quick overview of NetSuite Business Central. So we're continuing our theme of comparing the two leading solutions. We're the only partner who implement both systems, so we feel we're in a very unique position to be able to provide impartial insights, helping organisations like yours choose the best system for you. We're continuing our series of monthly webinars, and as we said today, we're looking at streamlining transaction processing. So I'm going to hand over to Mark, who's going to just do a quick intro to both of the solutions.
Thanks, Adam. So Business Central, let's start with that. So obviously the Microsoft solution, really good Office 365 integration. It's one of the real strengths of Business Central. Obviously, as a Microsoft product, as you would expect. I think it's fair to say that Microsoft are leading the way around AI with Copilot, and particularly what they're doing with Business Central, and Gary's got some good content on that to come. It's got a really nice user-friendly interface. We find customers, users pick it up pretty quickly. They find they can navigate around quite simply. It's quite familiar being a Microsoft product, and typically is a lower total cost of ownership against running on-prem or even against NetSuite, to be honest. So that's sort of the headline for Business Central. So I'm going to go to the NetSuite slide. So with NetSuite, sort of the message is the power of the suite. NetSuite is a very wide solution. It's got things like CRM and case management and expenses and all these things built in as standard. Which I think is why it does come in a bit more expensive than Business Central. The one big feature it's got that everybody loves is the one world consolidation module. So multi-subsidiaries, real-time consolidation through the reporting, throughout not just financial reporting, but throughout the whole system. NetSuite's suite success approach is really good. So it comes as a pre-configured solution based on industry best practices. There's different ones for different industries, so it helps the implementation along. CRM built in, so it's a lot of functionality there, and some really good embedded analytics and reporting tools just that are just native to the platform. So it's one of its key strengths as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, before we dive into the tools that are available within Business Central and NetSuite, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we mean by transaction and just defining that. So we've identified some common process flows that you'll recognise in your organisation, and listed beneath there are all the sorts of different transactions within those different process flows. So even if you looked at a simple distribution model where a customer requires a quote, you produce that quote, you convert it to a sales order, you purchase in some stock, you receipt it, you pick it and pack it, you fulfill that out, you invoice the customer, you take payment, you're also obviously receiving your invoice from your supplier and paying that. There's a whole tranche of transactions that are involved in that. And tracking and managing and recording these correctly can present challenges to businesses. And let's have a look at some of those. So, as we mentioned, with that many transactions going through, then human error is clearly a big risk to businesses. It can be something as common as just incorrectly using a key on your keyboard and pressing number 2 instead of a number 1. It could be a calculation that happens outside of there. It could be, we talked on our previous webinar about the accounting systems of NetSuite and Business Central having multi-dimensions available within them. It could be incorrect classification, but all of those offer risks to incorrect information. Obviously, processing them can take time, not only to enter, but also to reconcile them. And that in turn means that you've never really got real-time insight into what's going on in your business. Within any busy finance team, there's probably, if you're working manually, an in-tray and it's got a stack of papers and invoices that are all waiting to be entered into the system. Scaling can be a tricky thing to do as a business as you grow. If you're manually entering those transactions or lacking automation in your old legacy system, then you know, the only alternative really is to increase your FTE within that part of your business. And obviously, we're probably all experience the difficulties in recruiting, training, retaining staff, and all that cost that goes with that. There can be a big effect on customer and employee experience if you've got customers ringing in, trying to find out what's happening with an order, or wanting to query an invoice, employees trying to answer those queries and not being able to put their hands on the information that they need at the time that they need it. All of those can affect the experience that they get, and that obviously can have consequences too. Where you are manual or lack that information, there's very often a single point of failure. It could be an individual, it could be a number of individuals in a team, but as soon as something happens that breaks that process down a little bit, then sometimes things can grind to a stop, and automation obviously will provide a mitigation to that. Compliance and risk is also something that is a challenge, particularly with calculating taxes and those sort of things, especially, you know, in the global world that we live in at the moment. And obviously, not having your data available when you need it means it's very siloed, it's difficult to share, and it's difficult to get the insights that come out of that. So we're going to take you through some of the tools that we've got in Business Central and NetSuite and how those will look to address some of those issues. So I'm going to talk about Business Central. So first of all, I'll just cover off how Business Central automates the coding of transactions to general ledger for your standard sort of sales orders, purchase orders, and those sort of things. So they do that through posting groups, and there are 3 types of posting groups within Business Central. Your general posting groups, so general business and general product posting groups, and those really look after who you're selling to or buying from and what you're selling and what you're buying. The next one are specific posting groups. So if you're making transactions that are like payments or receipts, so they're very specific to the tasks that you've got. And then you've got your tax coding groups, which we're seeing there. So typically, if you've got a sales order, for argument's sake, then Business Central will use a combination of those those posting groups, and that sort of matrix will come through and define the ledger accounts that need to be posted to on that particular transaction. So that's how it automates that beginning part of it. So let's look at some of the other tools that Business Central has got. So there are journal templates and batches available in Business Central. So templates come out of the box when you get the product, and they'll be set up for various different transactions like payments or receipts, and they'll be pre-populated with various different elements which make it easy to use. Batches are templates which you can build yourself, really, so they can be set up for specific journal types that you want to enter in there, or even individuals, so you can track who's sort of entering which particular ones. And again, you can preset those with number series, balancing account types, and balancing account numbers. So the screen that we're seeing here at the moment are recurring journals. Recurring journals can be set up for journals that you're entering on a regular basis, and they're almost the same or very similar each time. So the screen that you're seeing there has got a drop down with all sorts of different options, give you a flavour of a couple of those. You've got fixed, where the amount is the same every single month. Variable, obviously, it's going to be slightly different every month. You've got a balancing one, where the amount will be allocated across different codes, which we'll come on to in a second. If you can click again for me, you'll also have postings which you will need to recognise in periods other than that the posting is being made in, and you can set up deferral templates within Business Central to handle that. So here we've got an example of 12 months. We're going to defer it across on a monthly basis across there. You'll also have situations where you want to allocate the posting to different areas of your business, different cost centers, GL codes. So again, you can build allocation accounts to do that. Here we've got one which is just spreading the transaction across different labor factors within that. Business Central also has recurring sales and invoice lines that you can set up. So a couple of examples of where you might want to set those up. You can use them to perhaps speed up the entry of a transaction on a sales order, where a customer would typically order the same sort of lines again and again. So on the left-hand side there, you're seeing trade research, our customer, we're in a sales order, and the system is prompting the user there, do they want to add the recurring lines onto this particular sales order, which they can click on and choose those ones that they want to add on. With recurring sales invoices, this could be for charges or services that you bill your customer on a monthly or quarterly basis. Again, there's a template in there, or wizard in there, I should say, that you can go into. You can specify the type of invoices that you want to generate at that particular time. You can filter your customer groups, or however you want to do it. Click on OK, and it will automatically go through and look at the customers with those types of recurring invoices set up, and automatically produce those invoices for you. The last release of Business Central saw the introduction of contracts and subscriptions into the software, which is a fantastic move forward. Here we've got an example of an item, widget 1. And with that, there is a service commitment or service package which is available. Here we've given the example of a service package gold or silver. So when you add these to the sales order, you can also add a service commitment to that, and you can set a contract up for that customer, so you can specify how long that contract goes for, when it will be renewed, and how that's going to be billed, and produce the invoices automatically from that. I'll talk a little bit about, Mark mentioned Business Central benefits from a huge integration interaction with the Office package of product. So here I've got an example of a spreadsheet with a load of journal postings that have come from a payroll software in this particular case. I've highlighted the cells, I've clicked on copy, moved over to Business Central and literally pasted those into there. And it's as simple as that to create all of those transactions. Sorry, Adam, you're going a little bit too fast for me there. But I can also, if you click on next, I can also then, where I've got these grid structures set up, if you want to click for me, Adam, I can also send those back to Excel and edit them in Excel. So I've clicked the Edit in Excel button here. Within Excel, I've just changed the posting date on this particular one. I'm going to click the Publish button down in the right-hand corner. And when I do that, I'll go back to Business Central, and I can see there that it's changed the posting date. And I can do that in all sorts of different areas of the system. Power Automate. So again, Business Central links into the various different Power platforms within Microsoft. So here, I can access these through virtually every record within the system. So on a sales order, I can click on Power Automate. It'll take me through to a simple wizard where I can create a flow from a template, or I can go in and do something in a more advanced mode. But here I'm just setting up a threshold of an order. It's over 2,000. I go to Microsoft Teams and I look for approval from a certain team or channel there. I can do that via email or however I wish to do so. So again, there's great ways to automate your approval process there. Lastly, I'll talk a little bit about Copilot and AI. Before I do, I'll also mention that as part of that Microsoft stack, there's also Shopify within there, and Business Central comes shipped with Shopify integration already set up, so you can access any online trading that you do. Copilot is available throughout the product. So some really good examples of how that's really well used are when you're reconciling your bank statements with the transactions within Business Central. You have side-by-side matching screen in there, but you can literally ask Copilot to go in there and produce all of those reconciliations and matching for you, and it does that with AI technology. One of the things that's recently come into the product, again with the last update, is sales agents. So the difference really between AI and agents, AI obviously uses that technology to sort of automate things. A sales agent is something that will act a little bit more autonomously and take over the process of something. So the example you see here with the sales order taker, it will monitor a sales inbox, it will look for sales inquiries, it'll match it up to your customers, it'll look and check inventories, create quotes, convert them to sales orders. And you've got an example of a task message that's gone out to a customer to confirm an order. All of these you do keep control of, so you set that up, but you can sort of check those messages before they go. But the whole admin side of that is automated with an agent, and those are available throughout the product. And that's sort of my summary of Business Central. I'll hand over to Mark.
Thanks, Gary. Okay, you should see my screen there. So, so this is a typical sort of NetSuite transaction form. I thought to start to show you that. Very customizable. You can change these forms around, add fields, rename things, change them quite a lot. But the typical kind of layout is worth just having a quick look at. So up here we've got primary information, the sales order number, the customer. This is a sales order, but each different transaction type looks pretty similar. Always a summary box with the amounts, and then various sort of extra bits of information we can add on. These are little twisties open and close in the software, so it's not hogging on the screen. And then various sub-tabs along the bottom. This is on the items sub-tab, and down here we can see the line item for a laptop bag that's on this sales order. So that's just a typical what it looks like really, and how the screen is laid out. One nice thing with the transactions in NetSuite is we have these things called related records, which is just one of these tabs open here, but also some information at the top here that's relevant. So just looking at this under the sales information, we've got a hyperlink here back to the sales opportunity that resulted in this sales order. the quote that was sent out from the opportunity. And both those are hyperlinks. You can click and drill back to those originating transactions. And then down here under the related records sub-tab, you can see basically the different transactions that were created off the back of this sales order. So an item fulfillment, this happened to be a back-to-back purchase order, so there was a dropship purchase order created, and then the invoice that we sent to the customer. And then you can click and drill into those, each of those transactions as well, perhaps to see the purchase order, into the purchase order to see the supplier's bill or the sales invoice, into there to see the payment, the customer payment that they made, and so on. So all the transactions are nicely linked together, and it's really easy just to navigate between them all in NetSuite. Similar to Business Central, we have this idea of memorized transactions. So this is just an example of a journal that we've memorized, and there's various options here. We could just be a template only, maybe it's your payroll journal each month that we've got a template for it, each of the journal lines where it's going to be posted to, and you come in and change the amounts and post it. Or maybe it's an automatic journal that's going to just post on a given date and time. So just underneath there, we've got the next posting date, how often we want it to repeat. So if it's automatic, we could say repeat this on the 1st of the month. And then, or it could just be a reminder. So it comes up in your reminders tab on your dashboard, and you can go in there and sort of say, right, I've got 3 memorized transactions that I need to go and deal with, update the amounts or whatever. We can go off and post them. So they're quite nice, and the system's feeding you the transactions that need to be posted. We can also automate things like billing. So on this one here, we've got this is an example of a weekly billing schedule. So this would run automatically each week and basically pick up any billable items that are there and send out those invoices. So this is set to run weekly. Next run on the 17th at 9 o'clock. And then moving down the screen, we can see here this is going to look at only within the United Kingdom subsidiaries. I said earlier, NetSuite is this multi-subsidiary structure, so maybe we want to do UK or US or Australia at different times. And then this is going to run on all customers, but it might be that you want to just pick out a certain group of customers to bill in this run. And then down here, what we're billing. So we're going to go off, look at timesheets, look at expenses, look at any items that have been put on the project, look at any sales orders that have been fulfilled and that are ready to actually invoice out. They're sending those out, and then how we're going to, are they going to be emailed? Here we're set to respect the customer preference on how they want to receive these transactions. So you can automate your billing if you want to. Just an example of the automation that you can put into NetSuite in one of these areas. We've also got a CSV import assistant. So just sort of thinking about how do we get transactions into NetSuite, save those those manual errors. So this is quite a nice way to do it. So on the left-hand side here, we've got the CSV file that we want to import, and these are all the fields within that CSV, the columns in that CSV file. This is an example of a journal import. On the right, we've got all the NetSuite fields in this area and journals. We literally drag and drop them into the center section and just match up the fields as you go. You can then save this as a template, as a saved import. So once you've done all that matching, so you can use it again next time to upload a new file that you want to import. And you can also set defaults within this as well. So if you'd forgotten to put the subsidiary field in your CSV, for example, you could just drag it into the center here and then just set it as a default. Well, it's going to go into the UK. So there's quite some nice functionality around how we can import CSVs from NetSuite. We've also got the customer center. So NetSuite ships with essentially a customer portal as part of the standard licensing, so you can give your customers access to the system. So looking at that, they can do things like make a payment, or it could be a donation, or a charity. They could get a statement of their account, say they might want to see their orders or their quotes. They could enter orders for you if you allow them. And obviously, you can control what they can and can't do with permissions and roles, as you'd expect. They might want to look at returns, just to have a look at their outstanding balance or outstanding orders and so on. You can also use it for support cases. This is how we use this at Nolan. If you're one of our customers already, you may be using that to contact our support team. So that's a really good use case for it as well. But nice that just ships as part of the product. Looking at the workflow, Gary touched on Power Automate earlier, and the screen on the right-hand side here is the sort of screenshot from Power Automate. But NetSuite's got a similar module built in, so it has a workflow manager, and it was just a screenshot of the sales order approval workflow. But you can put approvals on any transaction. Commonly see around obviously expenses or journals, purchase invoices, obviously. Some people have a sales order approvals as well in there. So, but you can just create those and drag and drop those around and basically control how those approvals work, who they get sent to, and how they work really in the system. So nice, they've got those built into the platform. Integrations, very common. We do a lot of integration work with both systems. There's quite often a myth that cloud-based systems is difficult to integrate with. It's just not true. I think they're probably easier than on-prem. So different ways we can do it. So sometimes if it's complex, if there are a lot of them, we'll introduce a piece of middleware. So an information platform, integration platform as a service. If there's multiple integrations that we're trying to manage, sometimes it can be more cost-effective, more robust way to do it. Other times we'll just build individual connectors using the APIs that are available in both systems, or there'll be connectors already available to common systems that either the vendors, if it's a Concur or whoever it may be, that they'll have those already built. If not, we can go to the Microsoft App Store or suiteapp.com for NetSuite and go off and see what other ones are available and use ones that are already built and up and running and tried and tested. Or we can just upload via a file, just as you saw with that CSV important. Okay, these are all options that are common through both platforms.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. So I'll just really summarise what we talked. I mean, we just looked at various different tools that are available in both of those applications, and they're there really to make your life a little bit easier and make the growth of your organisation more achievable. So they'll do that, as I say, through efficiency, just helping you do more with less or the same amount of people, minimize your manual errors and just improve the accuracy. So ultimately you get faster and better data, better visibility on what's happening within your business. And then also helping you with your compliance and doing that through making sure that the data is correct, it's calculated well, and obviously the workflows will help deliver that too. So hopefully that's been useful to you. I'm going to hand over to Jason now that will talk through next steps for you.
Thanks, Gary. Hi, everyone. So how to get started with a migration. So we are the UK's only partner for both Business Central and NetSuite. So we're going to give you an impartial look at the two most popular systems. Most of you on this webinar are Dynamics GP customers, and we know how to migrate those environments very successfully into both Business Central and NetSuite, having done them several times. Some of you may not be on GP, so we've done it with all the other major systems as well, and we save you time by not having to deal with multiple partners. And we have a large team of qualified consultants and developers that are split into different teams that specialize within the NetSuite side, and the other teams specialize within the Microsoft. And we'll have a dedicated project team led by a dedicated project manager from the start to the end of that journey. Making the, things easy for you, how are we going to help with that? So we will offer 2 days of pre-sales consultancy. So that is really us working with you to identify the changes that you want to make, any integrations. We're in a unique position where we know your environment, but it's really to work on that, to work how we can automate and which system is best for you. So that's what we include with there. We'll also discount, the licenses are discounted up to 40%. And there is lots of you, if not most of you, have modules that enhance GP from Nolan, and we'll look for the most cost-effective, easy way to duplicate those products within NetSuite and Business Central. And finally, if you make a decision to migrate and start that project by the 31st of March, we'll also offer 2 days of free consultancy within that implementation plan as part of that project.
Okay, that brings us to a close of this next webinar in the series. You can expect another one in March. It seems to be going down well, so we'll be sticking at them and announcing the next topic probably next week. So thank you again for joining. There isn't any unanswered questions that I can see, but again, we're just dipping our toes into these systems on these webinars. If there's anything else you'd like to see in more depth, just reach out to us. Our contact information is on there. And thanks so much for joining, and wish you a great day.
Brilliant.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.